Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. 𝚂𝚘𝚎𝚅, the Air Force guy here with Everything RVs podcast. And today we're here to talk about towing with confidence. And how am I going to accomplish that? I'm going to give you the information that you need so you make sure that you have the right setup to be towing your RV properly. Now, today we're just going to be talking about towing travel trailers. We're not talking about motorhomes, fifth wheels, and things like that, but we're going to be talking about basically things that are towed behind your tow vehicle. We're going to go ahead and try to give you the information because there is a lot of misinformation out there, and I want to go ahead and try to clarify that. Now, before I do that, everything I bring here to you on my YouTube channel, on my podcasts here and the streaming services and so forth, I'm giving this information to you at no charge. And I do that because of my sponsors. And today's sponsor is Extreme Heaters. Now, if you are one that is considering, or maybe you already are, camping in inclement weather, cold weather, and you want to make sure that you're able to keep things a little bit warmer than what you normally would without using any type of heaters, this may be something you might want to look at doing, using skirting for your camper and putting one of these under your camper, as well as if you had a water connection in one of your bays, putting one in that area. This could save you a lot of heartache, as well as keeping your camper freeze-free as well. So the company's been around since 2004. They started in the boating industry, all because he wanted one for himself, and has expanded now for the last 3 years. They have been in the RV industry. It is over 50% of their business now. So check them out. By the way, discount code good until January 31st of next year. So without further ado, let's get started. So as I mentioned, we're going to be talking to you about basically the proper hitch setups when you are towing a vehicle. And it goes everywhere from, and I'm going to start with this one first, everything starting with what we called, this is just a utility bar with a ball. Now, this is an adjustable utility bar with a ball. You could have one, and let me get up this one here. You could have one that's what we call a regular utility bar with a ball here, and you might just drop it on a ball. Depending whether you have a 2-inch ball or 2 5/16. That is all going to come down to whether or not you have the right vehicle to tow what you're looking to tow with just on a ball. So those are what we call utility bars. Then you have different size balls. Typically it's a 2-inch ball or 2 5/16 when you're dealing with RVs. Now, something that is always talked about, and I think that they use the wrong nomenclature. Well, they don't picture this as being what they're talking about. This is what we call a sway bar. Let me get this thing put up here. Let me just see if I can get this just put up. Okay, well, it's the same size, so it doesn't matter. Okay, just because of the size. This is what we call a sway bar. And all it does is it controls sway. Now, keep in mind, it's 2 brake pads that are holding a piece of metal that slides in and out. So you can only tighten it so much without snapping the thing, because what will happen is when you're turning left or you're turning right, that thing's either going to go ahead and retract in or it's going to slide out because of the force it's pulling. But when you're staying straight, those pads, it's supposed to be there to help minimize sway. It's not going to control it. It's going to minimize it. The problem with these is you must take them off when you're backing up. I know you'll get some people tell you, oh no, I back up with it all the time. Well, that's great. Well, they may not have it tight enough to help them when they're towing, number one. And number two, they might not be turning too much for it to cause a problem. But we've seen plenty in my day. I've seen plenty of these return bent or broken. So keep that in mind. Now, another misnomer with these sway bars, and this is what we call a true sway bar. We're going to go over the other stuff later, but they're not sway bars. These sway bars, back in the day, used to come in the owner's manual. They used to have the verbiage explaining that these things are meant for trailers up to 24 feet in length, max tongue weight of 350 pounds. And in today's trailers, you could have yourself heck, a 15-foot camper and have a tongue weight over 350 pounds. Okay. So in that case, it really probably wouldn't be, it's really not for that. It would probably work okay. But me personally, I might try to do something else to make it easier for me so I don't have to worry about that and have some other type of way of doing it. Other ways of controlling sway, you could use your brake controller to control sway. If you think about back in the day, if you ever towed a car on a chain or a rope, right? If you're in your tow vehicle and you're towing a car behind you and you step on the brake in your tow vehicle, what happens to that rope or the chain? It gets slack in it, right? However, if you were to go ahead and, as you're towing it, you were to apply the brakes in the towed vehicle, the thing behind you, before you put on the brake in your tow vehicle, what happens to that rope? It gets taut. It gets tight. Same theory when you're using, whether you're just on a utility bar, whether you're using weight distribution, whether you're using this little sway bar thing that I just showed you, whether you're using weight distribution with sway control. Does the same thing. It helps you. They do have systems out there. I know Ford is one truck that has a anti-sway system in their truck, right? And for years, we've been telling customers with those, make sure you shut it off if you have weight distribution with sway control. Just recently, I had somebody in a Facebook feed tell me about, they were at a Airstream rally, and some engineers from Ford told them that you don't need to do that. Now, I didn't get the whole gist of the conversation. I'd love to have this conversation with somebody that actually understands this stuff. But we've always been told, no, you should always shut it off. I called Ford. I got nowhere because all they referred me back to was go to a dealer. Well, the dealers are the ones that are telling us, shut them off. So it really doesn't get me anywhere. So maybe if somebody that's listening to this or watching this, maybe you might know somebody within the Ford organization that would be glad to have a conversation with me, because I'd really love to have them come on one of my podcasts so we can have this conversation so that we can educate people. My thing is all about bringing you, the RVers out there, the information you need so that you can go out and make memories that will last a lifetime, right? Well, this would definitely be one of those things. Now, I'm wondering how that's going to be affected, because now there's another systems out, and I can't remember. I want to say Dexter Axles, along with Bosch, have developed a ABS brake system with sway mitigation, and they're using the braking system a lot quicker than you could do it. I'm sure that's the way the Ford trucks are set up. That would eliminate or have a better chance of eliminating any sway. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to have a sway system on your vehicle or weight distribution with sway control. You still might have that on there, but those systems are out there too. And I wonder how that system is going to affect like a Ford truck or any truck out there that has a sway mitigation system also, because I wonder how they're going to talk to each other and how that's going to work. So it'd be great to know if somebody knows somebody, put them in touch with me. My contact information and so forth is down below. But now let's talk to you about the next thing. Let me look this thing up here. And let's talk about how you could use the, let me get over here, how you could use the sway bar with weight distribution bars. Now, people confuse these bars, the ones that say Husky on them, as sway bars. They're not. In this case, by the way, they're considered trunnion bars or spring bars. In this instance, it's just strictly weight distribution. They will not sway control whatsoever. Hence the reason why they have this sway control, the sway bar on this. However, typically, if there's that much weight on your vehicle, to me, I would tell you, me personally, my personal opinion, do not get that system. if you want to go ahead and have something that's easy to set up and be sway control as well as weight distribution. Don't ask me how this thing works, but folks, it does work. This has sway control and weight distribution all in one. The most simplest system out there on the market. And it may be something that you may want to consider if you had, and I would tell you on something like this, I would tell you to be using this on, the smaller trailers, 24 foot or under. I don't really, although I'm sure people use it on bigger trailers. I'd have a little bit hard time believing that chain's going to go ahead and I'm sure they have a way of explaining it to you, but I just would have an issue with it being larger than that, anything larger than a 24 footer. And by the way, when I say 24 footers, folks, I'm not talking about 24 model numbers on campers, because that is not the length. The length goes from tip to tip. So you could have something that was a 17 model number be 24 feet. So keep that in mind out there. So that would be one thing that would work. Now, another thing that you could use, let me just show you here. I want to talk to you about, I got to find it. Here we go. This is another system that we have that's using the weight distribution with the sway control. This is a round bar. It is a round trunnion bar. Now, the round trunnion bars, they're less expensive than the regular trunnion bars, and in my opinion, they don't work as well. However, the reason why people buy those is typically because of price. It is more expensive to go to the regular trunnion bars. And what do I mean by regular trunnion bars? Let me pull that up for you. Let me just pull that up. Here we go. So here is a regular trunnion bar. And again, this is just strictly weight distribution. Now, these systems that I've been showing you, they run the gamut. I mean, they have B&W. They have, I'm sorry, not B&W. They have Blue Ox. You have Husky. You have, let's see, Equalizer, Reese. There's a whole bunch of different ones that are out there that that do the same things. Now, there's only a couple that use, when you're seeing chains on a trunnion bar, that are actually sway control. One of those is the Blue Ox system. Now, I don't particularly care for these. Only reason for that is because they're just cumbersome as far as taking them off. Putting them on is not so bad, but taking them off, that could be a disaster. I had a lady actually, because she didn't hold the bar that comes off of that, there's a lot of weight. And if you don't hold the bar correctly, that thing's going to swing around. It came around and hit her in the head. So I'm not a fan of this type of setup. Now, they do make a setup in the Blue Ox. Let me find it here. I think I had it here. Well, give me a second here. I know I have something that's like it. Dang it. I got so many windows that are open here. And don't tell me here we go. It would be basically the same thing as this here. This is the equalizer on an L bracket. Now, again, a lot of companies have these, and this is weight distribution along with sway control all in one. Now, you might be saying, well, Paul, where the heck is the sway control in this? And that is the weight on that trunnion bar on that L bracket. And that weight tends to keep the trailer from swaying, or it minimizes the chance of swaying. The other way you could have sway control, another way is, let me pull it up here. We have what we call the Reese weight distribution with sway control. And let me just pull this all the way up here, get my head out of the way there. So that's Reese weight distribution and sway control. Now, the thing you might want to understand with this here, and it's the same thing. It doesn't matter when you have weight distribution, when there's a trunnion bar sitting on something, the weight of that is what's minimizing the sway for you. So now I've shown you a number of different ones. Now, they came out with a new weight distribution system. This one I'm excited to go ahead, and I can't wait to actually be able to test this and see how this thing works. But, oh, I didn't share it. Let me share it here. There we go. So this is the B&W new weight distribution sway control system. And this is one, I mean, this thing is simple as all get out to put on and utilize, because it has a little pump. So you're going to pump up the pressure, and it talks to you, it explains, and of course they'll talk you through it once they put it on, explain to you how to go ahead and set that up for your particular tow vehicle and the camper that you have, and then how easy it is to go ahead and disengage everything. So the difference is with most of these that we're talking about here, you're looking at costs on your typical ones anywhere from like $800, and it might be a little less. There's some that are less, and it might come down to whether or not you're installing them or whether the dealer's installing them. But anyway, I'm just going to say from roughly about $800 upwards of that B&W I just showed you could be almost $1,700. It really comes down to what's going to work best for your scenario. Now, let's say you're towing something, maybe a 32-foot trailer or longer, and some people even use this with shorter ones. If you want the Mac Daddy of weight distribution out there, sway control, let me show you what that is. That is what we call the ProPride. Let me pull that up here. It is the ProPride weight distribution sway control all in one. This thing is, Hensley has the same thing too, but it takes about 4 or 5 hours for it to initially be set up. You leave it connected to the trailer. So the only thing you're doing when you're backing your truck up to it, you're just backing it up, and the shank is actually just going to go into the hitch receiver on your vehicle. And then all you're doing is these weight distribution bars. You have these bars that are coming up. You can see them north and south connected to the weight distribution bar or the trunnions. You're just going to go ahead and adjust them. You'll have a preset setting. You adjust it. And most people, they use they're using a screw gun to do that. And then you just go ahead and retract the jack and you're done. That thing is an amazing setup. It's expensive. You're looking at, it's going to be close to $5,000 to buy one of those if you have it installed at a dealer. But I have seen videos. The most recent one was an Airstream being towed, and a tractor trailer hit the thing like 2 or 3 times. It didn't go anywhere. Didn't move a bit. I can tell you, if using the setup that I have, if my trailer would have been hit, I'm sure we would have been jackknifed, just because of the way, the nature of the beast that is. By the way, back to the sway bar, and I want to go back to the sway bar here. This thing needs to be, you can see it's attached to a ball that's on a utility bar, and then it's attached to the trailer itself. So keep that in mind. And what I mean by utility bar is one of these. Now, these utility bars with a ball, this is what they consider a 2-inch drop. Then there's a 4-inch, 6-inch. They have all these different drops. They have one that's regular. You can have it where it's dropping or where it's raising. It just depends on your setup. But that is everything pertaining to weight distribution, the different systems that are out there. Now, let's talk about how do you marry up the right ones for what you're looking at. And I would tell you, you need to understand a couple things. One, you've got to look at not only what your truck can tow from a weight standpoint. Case in point today, gentleman came in, he had a Toyota Tundra, can tow 10,000 pounds. He's towing 31-foot Airstream that has probably about 900 to 1,000 pound tongue weight. He didn't have his hitch work set up properly. I had a conversation with him. Hopefully it's going to help him, so at least he won't be towing the way he was towing it when he came in. But he was definitely over his gross vehicle weight rating. And how do I know that? And it wasn't because of the fact that the way the trailer was being towed into there. The reason for that is he had 2 electric bikes over the top of his bed of his truck. It was him and his wife. They had a dog, and I don't know what else they had in the bed of the truck because it had a lid on it. So Tundras typically only have like 1,330 pounds of tongue weight or payload, I should say payload. You know, you go ahead and put 900 to 1,000 pounds because it all depends on how much was in their camper and where it was distributed, how much that weight is on the tongue. Just let's say it's 900 pounds. Well, that means they have another 36 pounds. Well, they had 2 electric bikes. Those things, I don't know how much these electric bikes weigh, but they're at least 100 pounds each. Whatever else, they just had a little dog, maybe 20-pound dog, and then it was a husband and wife. I don't know how much they weighed. Just let's say they're 150 pounds each. There's 300 pounds. You can see how quickly you can get overweight. Now, why am I such a stickler as far as trying to educate people on that? I'm not trying to be the tow police. What I'm trying to do is give you, the people out there that are considering getting into RVing, or maybe you're towing currently, the information you need, because heaven forbid you get in an accident and it's your fault. In today's society, with all the lawsuits and everything, it could open you up to a heck of a lawsuit. Now, I know there's a guy out there, he's up in Canada, that talks about recommending people to tow, and he talks about cars can tow great and blah, blah, blah. And that's all well and good up in Canada. However, here in the United States, could you do it? Sure, you could do it. You can be overweight? Absolutely. Was your vehicle made for it? No. But like I say, be safe out there. And remember another important thing. It's not only about the safety of you, your passengers, your family in your car, but it's about the safety of everybody else out there on the road. So I was talking before about you using your brake controller to help mitigate sway. And you could do that. Something I'd highly recommend you do is practice that from time to time. Just taking it, and if you have the ones that are on the dash, squeeze it. Same thing if it's like a Reese or one of the ones that just squeeze it has a squeeze on it. Squeeze them every now while you're on the gas pedal to see what it feels like, to get a feel for that. Get used to that motion, because the last thing you want to do in the event of you need to make an emergency stop is taking your foot off the gas and slamming on that brake. The first way you'd want to do it is hold that brake controller, let off the gas, step on the brake, let off the brake controller, and then come to a stop. However, if going down the road, you're doing what I'd recommend, and that is driving 55, 60 mile an hour. Not, listen, don't be doing that when everybody else is doing 45, okay? Typically, when you drive 55, 60 mile an hour, everybody's blowing by you. It's leaving you all that room for reaction time. And trust me, you need a heck of a lot. If you ever want to know what it's like, what it's going to be like in an emergency stop situation, how long it's going to take you to stop your tow vehicle and what you're towing, go ahead and attempt it a couple times. Get it up to speed when there's nobody else behind you, and attempt it and try to do it safely. Again, brake controller, step on your brake, let off do it safely. But listen, I hope everybody has found a piece of information in this podcast that helps you. And if you would, please, anybody out there listening to me on the streaming service, please do consider giving me a 5-star review out there. I'd like to get this information out to more people. All you out there watching on YouTube, on Facebook, please go ahead and put a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the information. Listen, I'm giving you my professional and personal information, professional and personal thoughts, and what I would do and what I recommend. Just like I would do it for my family, I do that for my customers. What you do with this information is totally up to you. So, but I do appreciate everyone watching. Please do subscribe to my channel, like, comment, and I'll be back at you again. Well, actually, I won't be back at you again next back station, because next Friday, I'm going to be doing a YouTube Live, January 3rd, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That way there, anybody out there, you have RV questions, come on by, drop in, ask me your questions, stick around, see what information, see what other people are asking. Also, for those of you that listen to my podcast on Mondays, Monday I got a great interview with RV Overnights, so check that out as well. But appreciate everybody listening, watching out there, and I'll be back at you again soon. If there's a topic that you'd like me to cover, please do reach out to me, comment down below, whatever. Or if there's a review or how-to video you want me to do, let me know that as well, and we'll get you taken care of. So thanks again, and I'll be back at you again soon. Take care.